Hello again. I'm going to make a sausage ragu today, and it's a really economical sauce that you can make midweek. Uses up a few leftover vegetables and it's great poured over the pasta of your choice. It'll serve 4 people generously, so maybe 6 as well if you're not going to give them quite as much. So what I've got are 8 sausages and I've skinned them, and the way to do that is to just take each one and put either a sharp knife into the end of it and draw the knife through the casing and peel the casing off, or you can do it with a pair of scissors. You can actually, if you can't be bothered to do that, you can leave the casing on and just carry on as normal. I don't like doing that, I prefer to take the casing off, but you could equally buy sausage meat. Alright, so I've got 8 sausages in there. Now to that I'm going to add some vegetables, and I've got a stick of celery which I'm going to cut into quite small pieces. So wash it, make sure it's clean, take off both of the ends because that's quite nasty often and can be a bit sort of bruised and whatnot. Cut it in half and then it's easier to manage, and then the best way is to make your bridge and go down, cut it into long sticks and then line them up and go over them, and you'll get nice even sized pieces of celery. There we are. That's my celery chop. Now I've got a bowl ready to put all the vegetables into, so I'm just going to scoop that into there. And then we'll get on with the other ones. Now the next thing I've got is half a pepper, a red pepper. You can use a yellow one or an orange one, it's entirely up to you. Watch out for seeds. Best way is to just cut the sides off. And then you know exactly where the seeds are and you can avoid them. And use that bottom bit. That's going to go in the compost. So again for this, long strips and then across to get fairly uniform pieces. There we are, that's our pepper. This really does come down to what you've got in the fridge, so if you've got a yellow pepper and orange pepper, that's absolutely fine. I wouldn't use a green one though. So that goes in the bowl as well. If you've got a leek, you could use that. I've got half a courgette, so I'm going to cut that in half. And then I'm going to, how am I going to do this? I'm going to cut it in half again, both of those pieces. And then do the same sort of thing, cut it into long sticks and then go over the end to get little chunks. This is a really good way of getting extra vegetables into your diet, especially if you've got children, because if they can't see them, they're not quite as reluctant to eat something that's got plenty of veggies in. Now I've got half an onion as well. Again, use a bridge. You could use your leek instead of onion if you wanted to. You can put garlic in if you want to. And if you've got people who don't like garlic, leave the cloves whole and serve them to the people that do like it. Now, carrot next. I've got a nasty bit at the end, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm not going to peel it, and because this will take the longest time to cook, I'm going to grate this. So the biggest holes on your grater, and get ready, here we go. There we are. I didn't cut the end off because it gives me something to hold on to, so I've gone down as far as I can, and I've got to get this into my bowl as well. This is going to be a bit messy, I know. They fly everywhere, these pieces of carrot. There we are. So what we've got really is a glorified sofrito. It's the usual mixture of vegetables with the addition of pepper, and you can put in whatever else you have got that you want to use up. Right, that's that. Now, in addition to these things, we need some herbs, and I've got oregano. We need a tin of tomatoes. I'm going to add some tomato puree as well. If you haven't got it, you could use ketchup. And also a stock cube. I don't often use beef stock cubes, but this really will add a little bit of flavour, extra depth of flavour to our sauce. If you wanted to use a chicken one, you can do, but this crumbles quite nicely into the mixture. So what we do now is go over to the cooker and start to get this going. Right, now the first thing we're going to do is get these sausages to start cooking a bit, so I'll turn the gas on. And I'm going to start to break them up. I'm using a plastic spoon with a straight side, and I'm just going to kind of just chop them a bit so they start to get broken up. I'm not putting any oil in because I think there's plenty, quite honestly, in these sausages. If it does look as though it's going to burn, I might add a drop of olive oil, but I'm hoping not to. So the pan is a bit cold. It's going to take a minute or two to start sizzling. But we're just going to get those browned a little bit on the outside. And then we add the other ingredients and they will continue to break up. So you won't have big lumps of sausage. It'll be the smaller pieces throughout the dish. So I can hear it starting to sizzle. It does look a bit of a mess at the moment, but don't worry about that. It'll all work out. You're going to need a lid when all this is starting to cook. We've got all the ingredients in, so you can use a frying pan, but whatever you do use, make sure you've got a lid that fits. Right, now that's doing quite nicely. It's changing from that very pale pink to a sort of light brown colour. So the next thing that's going to go in is the herbs, and I'm going to put in half a teaspoon of oregano. Give that a stir. And then we add all the vegetables. So all your lovely chopped and grated things going next. Try and get those really well mixed in. Right, now the vegetables are just sort of sweating a little bit and bringing out the flavour. And the next thing we're going to add is going to be, oh, I'm just going to clean my spoon off for a minute actually. Get rid of those bits. So we're going to put in the tin tomatoes next. Tin of chopped tomatoes. And you can rinse out your tin with some water, or you could use some red wine if you've got some, and I just happen to have a little bit. So give it a swish round and get out as much of the tomato as you possibly can. That's probably a third of a glass. It's certainly not half a glass of wine, but you can do it with water just as easily. So that's that. And then we're going to have some tomato puree, or if you haven't got it, use ketchup. It's a tablespoon. So what I'm going to do is just kind of guess really. There we are, that's about right. And the only thing that's left is our stock cube. Now, try and just squash it a bit before you open the packet. Crumble it in. There we are. Now, we give it a good old mix. And there is not a lot of liquid here, so you will need to just keep an eye on this. And if it seems to be drying out, just add a little bit more cold water. But get it all mixed in together. Make sure you've got a nice boil happening, and then turn it down, and it's going to simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. And every time you give it a stir, you can keep breaking up those chunks as well, just a little bit more. So, we've got a good bubble going on there. We'll turn that right down to simmer, put the lid on, and set the timer now for 15 minutes, but I will come back in the meantime and just give it a stir and check on the liquid. Right, there we are. Time's up. Let's have a look. Oh my, that's lovely. Now remember, you might need to add a little water during the cooking process, but that gives you a really nice, flavoursome, nutritious ragu to just use with some cooked pasta of your choice. It can be farfalle, you know, like the bow ties butterfly ones, or it can be the spiral ones. It can be the long ones, spaghetti, tagliatelle, fettuccine, any of those. So I'm going to turn that off. Enjoy.